Welcome back to the playlist on anatomy and physiology. This is in the anatomy and physiology lectures, and it's also in skin physiology and biochemistry. Okay, this is a video that is good for your education, but for those of you in my anatomy and physiology class, this is not required of you. This is just for your education if you're interested in the organic chemistry and some inorganic chemistry as well. It's particularly interesting, especially if you've taken organic chemistry. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go over the mechanism and physiology of this enzyme right here, which is called Dopachrome Tautomerase. Another name you'll hear this enzyme referred to as is Dopachrome isomerase. Okay? So keep in mind where we started from. So we started with this molecule called L-tyrosine. This is an amino acid that's the building block of our melanin monomers. So we reacted tyrosine with an enzyme called Tyrosine Ace, which is an enzyme that, keep in mind, is embedded in the membrane of our melanosome, of the melanocyte. And we got dopachrome. And dopachrome really serves as a branch point in melanin monomer anabolism, because I can use a non-enzymatic reaction, a spontaneous reaction, and take dopachrome into dihydroxyindole, or I can react dopachrome with dopachrome isomerase or dopachrome tautomerase, and then I can get this guy, which is called dihydroxyindole carboxylic acid. And this is the guy we're going to see the synthesis of in this video. If you want to see the synthesis of dihydroxyindole, go back to the last video that's in this playlist. So now let's take a look at the melanocyte, okay? So out here, this is sort of the cytosol of the melanocyte. And like we talked about, the melanocyte is a specialized cell in your skin that synthesizes melanin. And particularly, the melanin is synthesized in a specialized organelle of the melanocyte called a melanosome. Okay? And I mentioned this in the previous videos, that we basically have two types of melanin. Okay, we have pheomelanin, which is responsible for usually things like red hair, the color of areola, sometimes in the genitals, and blonde hair. And then we have the darker brownish-black eumelanin. So if we're making eumelanin, that's made in a eumelanosome. If we're making pheomelanin, it's made in a pheomelanosome. And these melanosomes are inside the melanocyte. And inside here, this is the melanocyte lumen. Okay, so we have this tyrosine Ace enzyme, which is really a key in melanin synthesis. And tyrosine Ace has this catalytically inactive domain. It's a membrane protein, so it spans the entire membrane of the melanosome. And the outside portion, so the stuff that's out here on the outside of the membrane, is catalytically inactive, although it's important for structure. But the really key part that we're worried about with tyrosine Ace is this active domain, which is basically the side that faces the melanosome lumen. Okay, and this is actually where the conversion of dopa to dopachrome actually occurs. Okay, and also in the membrane of the melanosome, we have a type 1 membrane protein. And this particular type 1 membrane protein is really important. So this particular type 1 membrane protein is called Dopachrome. It's called Dopachrome Tautomerase. This is the enzyme we're studying in this video. And like we saw in tyrosine Ace, we have this part that faces the melanosome lumen, and this is what we call the catalytically active domain. So this right here, this is the active. This is the active domain, and this is literally the part of the enzyme in which the tautomerization of dopachrome occurs into dihydroxyindole carboxylic acid. Okay? So it literally occurs right here in the lumen of the melanosome. Okay? So this is Dopachrome Tautomerase, the subject of this video. Okay? Now we're actually going to look at the mechanism of this enzyme, and I think what you'll find is it's actually pretty simplistic. Okay? So just some key things about this net reaction of Dopachrome Tautomerase. Number one, we're going from dopachrome, so this molecule right here, this is dopachrome. We're going from dopachrome to dihydroxyindole carboxylic acid. And we're going to look at the mechanism and see how that happens. But really important here are some things that are located in the active site. Okay, so number one, there are two zinc 2+ cations in the active site. So what's key to understand is you have these zinc cations here, these zinc 2+ cations. I'll circle them. One of them's in red, the other one's in orange, And these zinc cations are chelated in the active site of Dopachrome isomerase by these 3 histidine residues in both cases. So 3 histidine residues coordinate these zinc cations in a very similar way to what's seen in carbonic anhydrase. We also have a video on carbonic anhydrase, so I recommend you go watch that. And what you'll see is that there's also 3 histidine residues there that chelate a zinc 2+ cation. And also chelated to the zinc, there's water molecules that are catalytically active. So keep in mind, these oxygen atoms have partial negative charges. And the partial negative charges are electrostatically attracted to the zinc cation, and so the zinc is able to hold those water molecules in there. And it turns out that the water molecules are what are actually catalytically active. The histidines right here, they're just simply holding the zinc in place. It's water that's actually doing the catalysis. Okay, water. Okay. So now let's actually look at the mechanism of Dopachrome Tautomerase. Okay, I'll draw the mechanistic steps in green. What I need to show first is that there's an activated proton right here. In fact, this is the proton that's going to be abstracted by this water. So water is going to attack this proton, and that's effectively going to force a double bond rearrangement. And the carbonyl pi electrons are going to break off and come and reabstract this proton from water. So in this case, the water is acting initially both as the base, and then it acts as the acid as well. Okay, so the water we see as catalytically active. It of course regenerates water, still chelated here to the zinc, and now what we have is this sort of almost benzene ring. It's sort of a semi-oxidized benzene ring, but we have to do one more step to tautomerize it into a full benzene ring. Okay, so now what's going to happen is this proton is the one that's activated now, because what we can do is we can simply abstract this and generate 2 aromatic rings. Okay, so what the water is going to do in this case is, again, it's going to abstract this proton, and what's going to happen is you're going to get another double bond rearrangement. So these pi electrons kick in here, these kick right here, and number one, what I want you to notice is that's going to generate this ring right here. And what exactly is that ring? Well, that ring is something that's termed a pyrrole. Very important piece of terminology. Pyrroles are aromatic. And what else does that generate for us? Well, it generates this. This ring is called what? Well, it's called a benzene ring. And that's also aromatic. So basically, we go in one mechanistic step from 0 aromatic rings. We sort of have this conjugation here, but there's 0 aromaticity, to something where there are 2 aromatic rings. And that's actually the driving force for this mechanistic step. So then this carbonyl bond is going to break and reabstract the proton from the water, the catalytically active water, and that of course regenerates the water, and it's still chelated here to the zinc through its partial negative charge, and we end up with this molecule right here, a very special molecule, a pre-monomer of melanin called dihydroxyindyl carboxylic acid, or if you wanted to be very specific, 5,6-dihydroxyindyl carboxylic acid. This will be further oxidized by tyrosine Ace into its respective quinone, and then that's what's actually going to get physically polymerized into the melanin polymer. Okay? But hopefully this mechanism made a little bit of sense, and I want to just have you bear in mind that this step right here, this particular mechanistic step, has a delta G that's far less than 0, and actually what can happen is this reaction sequence, although there is an enzyme like Dopachrome Tautomerase that can catalyze it, this reaction is also known to occur spontaneously. Okay, meaning non-enzymatically. And the whole driving force for this type of reaction is the generation of 2 conjugated aromatic rings. And it has in large part to do with this mechanistic step right here, where you go from 0 aromatic rings to 2 whole ones. Okay? And actually, the only way this is really possible is if there's presence of a large quantity of interacting metal cations. But assuming there's metal cations to interact with the molecule, it can spontaneously go towards dihydroxyindyl carboxylic acid. But in the event that you want to speed it up a little bit, which is generally what you want to do, there is an enzyme Dopachrome Tautomerase that performs this reaction. And I just want to have you bear in mind, hopefully the mechanism makes sense, but this is occurring in the melanocyte lumen, although the catalytically active domain is facing the lumen, but the actual enzyme Dopachrome Tautomerase is actually embedded as a type 1 protein inside the melanocyte membrane. Okay, so hopefully this gave you a little bit of intuition on how we go from dopachrome to dihydroxyethyl carboxylic acid. In the next video, we're actually going to go over the regulation of melanin synthesis. See you in the next video.